Welcome back to part 2 of Hope's End. What? Almost midnight. It's maybe 11:05. I checked my watch. 5 till midnight. Mr. Brown, what? How is it midnight? The line was already dead. The call must have dropped. How is it already midnight? I waited the last few minutes, watched my watch strike midnight, and promptly shut the lights off and made for the desk. The music started. Not really music, though. Just the first few notes of a song, repeating over and over softly. There was some kind of odd, metallic instrument playing along. I strained my neck and tried to listen. 2 evenly spaced quarter notes, followed by the quick eighth notes. The instrument made a clicking sound, stopped, then burst back into song, much more rapidly. Straight 16th notes now, not an instrument. Feet, what I was supposed to be hiding from. I noticed that I had leaned my head out to listen to the sounds and tucked back under the desk, cursing my stupidity. The 16th notes grew louder, but slowed down back to its original to quarter and to eighth notes. The sounds changed. Metal on wood. No longer metal on marble. It was crawling over the desk. Now I could hear a soft, whirring noise. Then it breathed, a ragged breath. Rule 6 filled my mind with panic, and I sharply inhaled. The feet stopped. I'm dead. No way I was coming back from this one. A minute dragged by, and I could still hear the rasping breath. My lungs burned, and I could feel the rising pressure in the pit of my chest. Then the music stopped, followed by the breathing, and I attempted to stifle my exhale. I sat in silence, drawing in deep, quiet breaths, feeling the oxygen rush around my body. In, out. I kept telling myself to breathe. I willed my hands to unclench, wincing at the indentations left in my palms as I tried to flex my hands. I listened for anything, satisfied that whatever it was now gone. I crawled out from under the desk and peeked over the top. The top of the desk now looked like a well-used cutting board. I felt along the divots. They were jagged, like a serrated knife had been used to cut me here on the desk. Mind me being butchered? Would I scream or pass out from shock? How long would it take me to die? How long would it take for someone to find my body? Would Mr. Brown just bury me out back and find some new college graduate desperate for money to sacrifice to this place? I shuddered at the thought. He can't seriously expect me to survive this night. I only had a few rules that I had yet to experience. I trusted Rule 5, and I'm still alive. I resigned to trust the rules. For now, thinking of what was next, the breaker in the basement and its rules. Time came to turn off the breaker. Cool air flowed past me when I opened the basement door, and the smell of salt filled my nostrils. Flicking the light switch next to me, I took a tentative first step. The board fiendishly announced my presence. I held my hand against the stone wall and crept down the stairs, tensed, body half-turned, ready to spring up the stairs should anything happen. 3 steps left. 2 steps. 1 step. My foot landed on the concrete floor. The unfinished basement walls concealed a great many shadows. The landing was isolated from the rest of the basement, and there was an unfinished frame where a door would go 3 feet in front of me to the left. I inched closer to the frame and listened for a moment, hearing only the sound of my heart. I peered around the corner. The room was bare save for a black double door on the far side and the solitary breaker on the left wall. The double door was chain shut. A tall line of salt crossed the door. There was even salt placed on top of the door frame. I took a closer look at the door frame I was peering through. Salt filled the crevices in the unfinished wall surrounding the frame. My watch read 2:58. It was now or never. I took the first steps into the room. Just beyond the threshold, the room shifted in temperature. It was hot, swelteringly so. Stepping up to the breaker, I grabbed it. Checked my watch. 2:59. With a beep, the screen changed to 3. I pulled the lever down and the dim light in the basement went out. Don't let go, whispered a voice behind me. Every muscle in my body locked tight. Hot breath fell on my neck, and still I felt a chill run down my spine. Good. Now stand perfectly still. The door to the basement creaked open and thudding footsteps began a slow descent. A deep moan echoed down the stairs and the floorboards creaked with the uneven pace of the horrifying painstakingly approaching. I counted the steps in my head. 1, 2, 3. It was halfway down. My fist clenched tighter on the breaker. I could feel my heartbeat in the palm of my hand. Wrong. The voice was still a whisper, but it was loud and right in my ear. I said, perfectly still. I felt a sharp poke in my side, and I resisted the urge to flinch, fearing what would happen if I did. Hee better, chuckled the whispering voice. The footsteps continued their slow descent. Another moan echoed, louder than before. It was full of sorrow and pain, the moan of a creature hungry for release. 1, 2, 3 more steps. With a soft slap, the horror reached the bottom of the steps. The creaking, now replaced by feet shuffling, it was somehow slower on an even plane. Its steps were sporadic. It would take 2 or 3 steps in quick succession, then stand still, like it was tired or perhaps like it was listening. Maybe it couldn't see in the dark. I tried to take small comfort in the thought. Another moan filled the basement and the source turned the corner into the basement proper. Its chilling moan was all too clear with nothing to break line of sight. Yes, yes, whispered the voice. The steps stopped directly behind me, the smell of rot now filling my nostrils. Now, run! A wet and meaty hand grabbed my shoulder. Panicking, I dropped to the floor, out of its grasp. Scrambling on the floor, I made my way towards where I thought the exit was. Stay down here, whispered the voice. Silently cursing, I found my feet, placed my hand on the wall, and tried to run away from the horror. The footsteps shuffled towards me. They were slow but steady now, enticed by the idea of catching me. I circled around the room, trying to keep away from it. It moaned again as it picked up its pace. I felt its hand graze me as it dove headfirst into the wall next to me. Its body crumpled loudly to the floor before rising again. Now you may turn the breaker on and leave, whispered the voice. I circled around the room trying to find the switch, fingers finding the gap where the door frame was. I crossed it and kept circling, until again, I found the door frame. The voice laughed at my torment. Come on, turn the breaker on, Jack, taunted the voice. Jack, moaned the creature. Its pace once again picked up. It dove for me again. Panicking, I dove into the middle of the room and tripped. There wasn't anything in the middle of the room to trip over. I felt my way back and found a metal cylinder. Then, enough my hand fit all the way around. I tugged on it and it shifted to one side. Realizing what I had found, I flipped the breaker. The light came back on, illuminating an empty room. The creature that had been pursuing me was nowhere to be seen. I checked my watch, 3:14, and ran. Turning into the west wing, I remembered to look down only after I had taken 3 large steps into the hall. I slowed my pace to walk, stopped, hunched over, and tried to catch my breath. My watch read 3:16 a.m. Had it just turned 3:16, had I made it into the wing on time? I didn't hear anything happening. The lights didn't flicker. It was utterly silent. As I stood there staring at the ground, catching my breath, I thought to myself, would I do this again? Was for $150 a night worth it? Now that I know to take this seriously, I could probably do this a whole lot better next time. I've made a few mistakes, but I'm still alive. Only 2.5 hours left until it was over. What rules do I have left? 9. From 5:55 a.m. to 6 a.m. run. 10. Don't listen to what he is saying. The last 2 would make or break the night. Run for 5 minutes. How fast did I have to run? From what to where? And who is he? Is it Mr. Brown? Or someone else? Something else? Sound. My ears were flooded with sound, bone-vibrating amounts of sound. I covered my ears and hunched over, dizzy with the volume. The sound of multiple jet engines erupted from nowhere. I panned around trying to see anything without lifting my vision too far up. I thought I could see the sound wave. It was a miracle the glass had not shattered. Help! Screamed a woman's voice, barely audible over the roar of sound. It sounded like it was coming from below me, but that would be impossible. No way I would hear anyone downstairs. She must be in one of the adjacent halls. You up there! Help! It's quite loud and hot. I'm scared, screamed the woman. Up there, I thought. Then she really is downstairs. I checked my watch. Only 10 more minutes left until 3:30. A siren warbled, adding itself to the noise, furthering the pressure to my eardrums. Ah! Wailed the woman. With that part to concludes, stay tuned for the finale. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications to be the first to know when I'm reading more creepypastas. Stay creepy, stay goofy,